So, as Jay already said, my name is Andreas. I'm founder and CEO at Vuframe. And at Vuframe, we've been doing augmented reality for a long time. I myself have been doing augmented reality for 8 years, virtual reality for about 6 years. And before that, I've been in the games industry. So I know a lot about 3D data, about interactivity, and about how to make something very user-friendly so someone wants to pick it up and actually use it. At Vuframe, we specialized at, and I actually have to thank Kareem for his talk, we specialized on solving all the problems of standardization and scalability. So run-in-the-middle business or enterprise, whether it's a big enterprise or SME, can actually just start picking up augmented and virtual reality business solutions with a very short adoption time and a very, very clear return on investment within the first 12 months. We're focused on Europe right now. We have some very big customers in Europe. When I say customers, I don't mean pilot projects. Currently, we're actually serving 15,000 daily active enterprise users with our business-to-business apps. Our solution is user-centered and codeless. It's cloud-based and thusly sustainable. And we're very content agnostic. And because we're content agnostic, I'm here today to tell you the very good news that you probably already own the data you need to build your very own augmented virtual reality powered business-to-business tool. So now that we got out of the way who the hell I am, why I'm even up here, let's talk about some business-to-business applications which can provide a return on investment for companies today. We're very active in the sales and marketing solutions field. So we can build virtual showrooms, virtual product configurations, all based on existing production data and all cross-platform. So whether it runs on a tablet, whether it runs on a smartphone, or in an HTC Vive or any other sort of headset. Now, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be rolling out Microsoft HoloLens support for all our customers as a free upgrade. We don't care about that. We care about where the data comes from and what the data can do for you, and it can be a sales app. It can also be a marketing app. For example, here we have a real estate marketing solution, which is basically like you have everything in there. You have a 3D model of the exterior, you have a 3D model of the blueprint for every floor, then you have an augmented reality projection, and then you have a virtual tour which is compatible with the Google Cardboard or the Google Daydream. And all of that is basically served through our platform on any device you put it in. And all the data you see here wasn't touched. It wasn't put into Unity manually or something like that. It's basically extrapolated from whatever CAD data is already available. Then we very quickly, with predefined settings, do stuff like light mapping and things like that to make it look pretty, and then it's uploaded to the cloud and distributed to all the client applications our customers have in the field. So if we look at that, what are the actual requirements for data we want to use in an augmented virtual reality-based solution? First of all, it should be consumer friendly. If you talk about CAD data, if you talk about the software your engineers are already using, the chances are that there's a mobile component available for that software suite they're using. But that's an engineering software suite, so it's intended to be used by an engineer. It has a lot of information. It doesn't have a lot of visual fidelity because that's not the main point. And usually it doesn't have manageable file sizes. So consumer friendliness is something you need to consider that needs to be the output. The second thing is you probably don't want to touch all the data you want to input into your tools by hand. They should be automatically processed because anything a human needs to touch is not scalable. And imagine you have 15,000 products and you want to put them in your AR solution and like it needs to be converted and it takes 1 hour per product to convert. That also brings me to it needs to be revision agnostic. Your CAD data, your product data is going to change. So you need to think about, from day one, you need to think about the fact, what happens if the data changes? How can I very easily update the 3D data in my solution that is actually out there in the field? And then you also need to think about a future-proof format. You need to go for the 3D. Like 3D is the one that enables all the very successful and very beneficial applications. But you also need to be clear that in order to have a successful application, it needs to be limited data you display at the same time. So don't display 10 floors of the same building at the same time, display one floor, and then if he wants to go into another floor, load the next floor. Yeah, and all the files should actually be able to run in real time. So if we consider these requirements we have for our data, let's look at some potential data sources. So I talked already about CAD software, and CAD software for us is a category which is very easy to convert. So you have your CAD software 3D drawing, you create a 3D export of that can also be fully automated. And then, for example, our Vuframe software, it creates what we call the immersive model, which is a very nice looking 3D representation. It has some lighting effects, shadow effects, whatever. And that then is compatible to our, for example, here to our augmented reality module in our software platform, which you then can use to do a miniature projection, but you can also use it to do a life-size projection. So CAD and CAM models from these sort of software packages are instantly compatible, very easy to convert, and automatically, it can be converted automatically. That's very important. So the good news for you guys is that any company today in real estate, in engineering, or any company that is manufacturing something already has CAD data available, which can be converted automatically. If it comes to the conversion, when we talk about what you put in and what you want to get out of it, there's a couple of challenges. The first challenge is that the CAD is not standardized. Like there's a lot of proprietary software out there when it comes to CAD, and all of them have different formats, different standards, and CAD software is not something that a small business usually is on the latest revision on because it's so expensive. So they're usually 2 or 3 years behind. You're not on the 2.17 release, you're on the 2.14 release. And all of that makes it really hard to kind of consider it as standardized. There's a single file format like JPEG out there which you can adopt. So you need to be careful to identify what sort of data you have available, and you need to be sure that the data that is exported or is exportable from your CAD software suite doesn't have redundancies, doesn't have garbage data. A lot of that happens when you export from CAD to 3D, you get garbage data. You get a lot of duplicated data and you get a lot of unoptimized data. For example, here we have a conveyor belt exported from Solid Edge. And what we do in order to address all these issues, we developed an algorithm that actually allows us to identify all those issues we just talked about, garbage data, redundant data, all of that, and kind of automatically strip it. So it will be done in either a software-based solution we provide to you or in our cloud. And then you get very, very nicely small file packages which can be handled on any mobile device, which is important for augmented reality. At the same time, our static analyzer makes sure that the CAD data is not reverse engineerable. So if you think about actually using CAD for augmented and virtual reality in the field, you need to know that anytime a CAD model is downloaded on a client application which does augmented reality, the CAD is on that client. That CAD is on that device. So if your device is in China, then your CAD is in China. So that's a huge security flaw. So providing a CAD as is to a client doing augmented reality is a huge security consideration you need to be aware of. Second thing is how, if this is such a huge security issue, how can you get around the data storage issue? So where do you store the data? In which format do you store the data? Is it a binary format? Is it text-based? Is it encrypted? And how can I make sure it's not reverse engineerable? Also, like, we're German techies, where I come from, so we developed a solution for that. We developed our own 3D format, which basically is an encrypted, secure version for 3D, sort of like JPEG for 3D, which gets ridiculous compression rates at while keeping the visual fidelity and the visual correctness intact. So this is also a consideration you need to make. The solution I go for actually needs to be able to be small, be secure, and be sustainable and scalable. Some more stats on that cool format we developed. And so last challenge you need to consider, you have all these files that you wanna put into your AR and VR solution, which is, today it's an app, in the future it might be web-based. But how do you get the data in there? What do? Do you straight put it in the app statically, so it can't be updated? Or not? And the answer is not. Don't ever do that. Don't ever put your data in the binary of your application straight up. You always need an intermediary layer. You need a content management system, a CMS. Otherwise, your content will be dependent on being maintained by someone who can build a new revision of your application binary. So you just made yourself dependent on a programmer, which you never ever want because it's a potential deadlock situation. This is a short look at the first category of data, the easy to convert data. Easy to convert is not only CAD data, it's also the source files of CGIs. A CGI is a computer-generated image. It's basically the idea that an image is generated by a computer. The computer takes a long time to generate the image. But in order to generate that image, 3D data is used. For example, in real estate, CGIs are very popular. They are created off the blueprint, and then it's basically like a virtual picture you take before the building is built. And these CGI source files, they are also 3D files. That's 3D data you have of your product. So in case you don't have CAD or you don't want to use your CAD, your CGI source files can be a not security critical source for augmented and virtual reality applications. The second category of files you have if you want to do augmented and virtual reality is the stuff that's very easy to create. For example, real estate or any sort of training applications, you can use 360 media. And 360 media is immediately compatible to a virtual reality use case. And you just buy one of those cheap cameras like the Ricoh, it's $200 or something like that, and it's very, very easy to create an app based on that. And the last category, that's something that's just started to hit the market, are data formats and data sources which are already immersive. For example, if you're in real estate, you can go for Matterport. If you're in the Autodesk ecosystem, you can use their 3D scanning application, which actually gets decent results to just digitalize products. So we have more and more software suites which offer export to immersive sort of formats, which you then can immediately use for augmented and virtual reality applications. So this is basically a good overview of where your data can come from. And if you have, at any rate, CGIs in your company, in your marketing, or if you have CAD data in your production, you already have the data you need to build an augmented and or virtual reality tool. So you need to check that data. If you don't have that data, you can go for 360 or hybrid formats, which is very easy to do and very cheap to do. Please make sure if you do go for it, don't cut corners, because this is going to be a tool that's very valuable for your business over the next decades. So if you cut corners now, you're definitely going to pay for it in the future. So very important, get a content management system from day one. Don't have a programmer like manually input the files into your application. That's no way to go. And the last thing is, think ahead. Think about file revisions. Think about what happens if the data in your application needs to change, or if the source data, which is the data of your products, the CAD files, the plans, the blueprints, what happens if they change and you need to go through the whole process again. That needs to be as scalable as possible. A little bit shameless self-advertising at the end. I mean, I run a company, so that needs to be in there as well. At Vuframe, we build like sort of turnkey solutions for all of this. So we have a marketing suite, we have a sales suite, we have an enterprise software suite, which you can adopt in a very short amount of time, and which basically can give you, based on different application templates and use case templates we have available, solutions for your sales team, for your marketing team, for your company communication, like for a lot of different things. And at Vuframe, we solved all these problems through a software platform. So you get a content management system, you get application templates, and you get the content you input once on all the different devices. So you don't even need to do it in augmented reality. You can also send it to your parents who have a 5-year-old smartphone, and they will still be able to access your immersive data, which is important because that the smartphone your parents have is the smartphone that the people in Africa and in China and in India have. So if you talk about global scalability, you need to think about your parents.
Andreas, thank you. I know, let's see if there were some questions that were put in via Slido. But since the question ran up right up to the 15-minute mark, I'm going to honor, trying to keep on schedule and ask folks to follow up. And Andreas will capture all those questions, by the way, and he has the ability to follow up to the individual users as well. So we will go and do that. And thanks again, Andreas.